Hello again, dear Roy. Hello,
Hey, how are you?
hello. I'm good. I'm happy to flow with you again. Part two of our conversation. We started talking the other day, and it was just the hour flew by. So here we are again.
When you're having fun, right? When you're having fun.
Exactly. And I actually pulled a card because I love oracles, and this is the card that I pulled for us, Sacred Play.
There we go.
So let's play, and again, just we'll see where we go. But I really wanted to talk with you, and I with about AI because it's an issue that it's an issue. It's a subject that brings up all kinds of things for me, and I know that
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. When I think about my grandma who died at the age of 100, and when she was a child, there was no refrigerators, and here we are in my lifetime, uh, artificial intelligence. We're probably going to have robots walking around pretty soon. And it's interesting. I cannot hide that it can bring up, yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
Interesting. Good.
Interesting. But
Yeah.
there's fears, and we talked about fears in part one, and the fear of change, and the
Yeah.
river of change, and how to move through fear and also graduate into more expansion. But I really want to lay that down here that I was scared shitless about it, honestly. Like, I didn't even really want to look into it. I remember when there was, I think it was
Yeah.
Sophie the robot who did an interview a couple of years ago, and it was on YouTube, and I was like, so my instinct was to do this, to kind of push back from it because it's brought up a lot of fears, and we can talk about that, what it can bring up. But I do want to say when we had our conversation, maybe a month or two, I don't know how long, and you kind of brought up the chat GPT, and you
Yeah.
started giving me another angle to look at it.
Mhm.
And one of your sacred gifts is to push people out of their comfort zone. And you
I've,
definitely,
I've been told that.
yes, and literally push them out of planes.
Yeah.
But and I do want to acknowledge what was my part. I was curious enough to open up to what you were
Mhm.
proposing, and you kind of introduced me to Dear Chat GPT. And I put my foot in the river,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I got my mind blown. And I like getting my mind blown, and I like changing my mind. That's one of the things I love the most about when I
Yeah.
change my mind. When I have a very fixed idea about something, then I change. So, am I in love with Chad? Is he my best friend? No, but I started seeing the value, and it started bringing up very philosophical questions that we talked about.
Yeah.
And I'd
Yeah,
really
for sure.
like us to dive into that. So first, I want to thank you for making me very
Pleasure.
uncomfortable and helping me expand into more
Yeah.
of, because the truth is this is going to be right. This is where we're going. I mean, I don't see how we can put the genie back in the bottle, right?
Well, if you think about one of the things I like to mention is that over the course of human evolution, we've had, I think there's seven or eight things that have changed humanity.
Yeah.
Finding fire, moving forward, finding the steam engine and, electricity, moving forward, finding the internet. And it's something that comes along in some generation and changes how and affects every single person's life.
Yeah.
And AI is exactly that.
Yeah.
It's another change. It's here. It's not in the future. It's in the present. And people are so scared of it taking their jobs and taking, changing what we're doing. And I like to think about it in this slightly different way. If we embrace AI, maybe just maybe we can live a slightly less busy life and then do the things that we aren't getting to do at the moment because we're too busy running around from one thing to the next thing. Yeah, there's this piece about how I think there's a scale where humanity is ranked on in terms of how efficient we are,
Mhm.
and we're halfway down the scale, and at the top of the scale is the condor, and so in terms of efficiently going from one place to the other, but you put a man on a bicycle, and suddenly he's much more efficient than the condor.
You mean
And
condor the bird or condor the plane?
the condor, the bird.
Oh, the bird. Okay, yeah.
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 Yeah. So then man, by going on a bicycle, excuse me, by going on a bicycle, he's much more efficient than a condor.
Yeah.
And I kind of like to think of AI as a mechanism where we can put our brain on a bicycle, and we can be much more efficient. And I hear a lot about people saying, "Oh, but it's, we're going to make a lot of dumb people. We're not going to be able to do anything anymore." And I've actually found entirely the opposite. Yeah, I found that as I've been using it, yeah, and I've been using it for 18 months to 2 years now. As I've been using it, it's making me think more. It's making me
Mm,
think in different ways. It's opening up different brain waves or brain pathways that weren't there before. Yeah, because what I can do is I can have a conversation at my level, whatever that level is, yeah, and open it up to all the experts in the world. Yeah, and I can really dig into, trying to understand what they're saying and how they're
yeah.
saying it, and what those things are. So I think if we just flip it around a bit and say, well, you know what, if everybody used AI and everyone didn't have to work so hard, could we maybe enjoy lives a bit more? Could we go out and do those things that we're not doing? Yeah, are we going to be able to, expand our consciousnesses even more because we've got time to go and dig into meditation or dig into,
Mm,
something that you hadn't looked at before because we're not as busy at work. From a business owner point of view, yeah, providing the work gets done, yeah, and gets done efficiently, yeah, I'm quite happy for my staff to use AI.
yeah.
But I also see the pains of other people saying, "Oh, it's going to lose jobs. It's going to,"
Yeah.
and I really think AI is not going to take your job, but somebody who knows AI well will take your job.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's yeah. Speak truth. Yeah.
Yeah. So if
I
we embrace it, we can go very far.
I love that's how you got me in because the idea of the bicycle and the condor and what I started thinking about was like all this time that I spend researching and diving, which can be fun. But like when I'm creating a workshop or something like that, that I'm spending a lot of hours with my building the frame and then researching. And I tried out chat for my next workshop, and what would have taken me a week actually took me 15 minutes.
It's horrendous.
That kind of blew my mind.
Right.
But what was really, and I that day when I started chat, I went down the rabbit hole and I went to bed at 2 in the morning, so that's your fault. And I just, because it brought, like, it didn't dumb me down. It opened my mind
Yeah.
because then all these new questions were coming up and my way of thinking, because the way I saw it is was a bit like my secretary, my very intelligent secretary that had all this information, but I was still the orchestra leader, the
Yeah.
conductor.
The conductor, yeah.
And it freed up my mind in a way. And, there's a reason why this channel is called Curious Secret, because I'm curious. So it freed up all the time I would have spent kind of diving into, correction mode and this and that, which I don't really like. It freed up my mind to start questioning even deeper and making
Mhm.
connections that I had never made, and then getting answers that would bring up other links and connections. And I've got chills as I tell you because I really had fun. Like I felt my brain expanding,
I
So
think about another thing as well. We, as business owners and entrepreneurs, as people that are pushing the boundaries a little bit, yeah, what we're doing quite often is we're storing all this information in our minds.
yeah.
Okay, so we store all this information in our minds, and we know if we write it down, potentially we can go and do something with it. But I don't write very well. I mean, I can write obviously, but I don't write very fast or very neatly. So I've got notepads all over the place with scribbles on them. I look back, yeah, I think I should have been a doctor, honestly.
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, what were you even thinking? Right? Yeah. So that almost goes to waste a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I'm able to take all the information in my head and I'm able to talk it into ChatGPT, yeah, and literally, yeah, get it all out, yeah, then my head's clear.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
empty. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know I've got it saved. I've got it somewhere else, and I can come back to it. Yeah, and just opens up this whole new bit of brain area, which is not full of stuff anymore. And it really feels like that. It really feels like, okay, now I have clarity to think about the next step. And suddenly, because I'm having this conversation backwards and forwards, that next step becomes much more clear because I'm not bogged down with, okay, now I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to, I've got all these things that I need to do that I'd never get to if I was just stuck in that mode. I go out of the mode, I get it all out, and then I just say, okay, now I want you to be a receptionist, a secretary, executive assistant, and just put those in order for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura doesn't has an amazing kind of conversation with.
Laura is our friend, our dear friend. For those who don't know, who's Laura?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she literally has a thread
yeah.
where ChatGPT is her a personal assistant, and she's like, okay, so I'm just going to talk at you what I need to get done today, and she just talks it in, and then if she remembers something during the day, she talks it in again. And then she comes back and says, "All right, I need you to help me sort this all out. Let's work out what's the most important. What order is it in?" And so so they go through that. And then she's got a really nice little hook where she says, "And when I tick things off my list, I want you to be my cheerleader. I want you to be really
Give
kind
me
of
feedback.
give me feedback." And it's like, "Oh, Laura, you've done amazing. What a good job you're doing." And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so it is what we make it. It is
Mm,
how we program it. It is how we choose to use it. And yeah, we're smart enough to be able to choose to use it that it benefits us. Yeah, and I
yeah.
think that's what people need to see. If they can just use it in a way that benefits them, it's just so powerful. So,
Well, and listen, it changed my mind on it, and definitely the way you brought it, it expanded me. So, and what it brought up as questions, and we had this discussion together, but I like us to flow into that is then, what it does it mean to be human and be conscious? What is consciousness? And then what is our superpower now? Because, for so long, like you said, one of our powers as humans was our capacity to have knowledge, to know
yeah.
things. Well, AI has won the race already, and it's expanding as we speak. So AI, as of now, is the winner of knowledge. I mean, in a sense that it has all this capacity to retain knowledge. I'm not talking about wisdom, but knowledge. So it brings us back as humans. It brought me to say, well, what is my power? What do I have that AI doesn't? And I actually asked AI. I asked Chat. I should
Uh-huh.
pull out the answer. We had a great conversation, it and I, on this. And what came up was exactly what I thought is our superpower is our empathy, our capacity for creativity, our capacity to make meaning out of experiences,
Hmm.
our capacity to expand our consciousness. And we could even dive into that, like, journeying through consciousness. And you talked about meditation.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, that's what was coming up, it's like what Chat was saying, it looks like consciousness, but I'm not conscious because I don't have a direct experience of life.
yeah.
So it brings us back to what is it to be human and where we can put our energy. If we free up all this time, then we can put energy on love,
I,
consciousness.
I read
What do you
an
think
amazing,
about that?
I read an amazing book maybe 25 years ago, and it was the Supernatural was a book. It was a different supernatural, and it went into this whole idea that in Eastern Europe, how they used to teach the kids, was they would actually have music playing, and they would synchronize the knowledge going in with music playing, and the kids were able to get 95% all the time, so they had the knowledge, and then they spent their time actually using that knowledge. And we're now in the age of information. We've
Yeah.
gone across. We're coming out of the second age, the industrial revolution, and we're going to the age of information. And we really are digging into this. There is knowledge everywhere, right? Yeah, the internet showed us that. The internet was a great step forward. We could always go to Google, type in something, and get an answer. And yeah, the knowledge just grew and grew and grew exponentially. And there's no way so we can store all of that knowledge internally. So how we actually interact with that knowledge is now the important bit, and how we use that knowledge and how we, as you say, further ourselves through that knowledge. We can't do that unless we can get access to it. Yeah, and the easiest way to get access to it now is through AI and
Mm,
AI. allows us to interrogate it from different angles and from different points of view, and it really kind of makes you think. And I think as we go further forward with all of this, the way science is going forward, where we're actually able to see so much more deeply into the human psyche. And I think there was one that I saw just recently where they managed to communicate in a dream. And all these things where we're actually just getting a much better understanding of ourselves and our existence. That's all due to AI enabling the information to the people, who can process the information.
Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable when you
Yeah.
think, well, because when you think, I remember when I was young, I'm 52. When I was young, if I wanted to get information, I had to go to the library, or we had the encyclopedias, and it's limited, right? And who's writing the books, and we can get to that also, who's giving the information with chat, but I mean, it's crazy all the information we have that used to
Yeah.
be segmented maybe to an elite class, right?
Yeah.
Even the technologies of meditation and higher consciousness. I mean, it wasn't everybody that had access to that stuff. It was a segmented, elite of
Yeah.
monks, or, and here we are. And it's true. This is what blew my mind. You helped me realize that. It's like, why am I hanging on to, no, I'm going to create my workshop and it'll take me 2 weeks because I have to write every word. And
Mhm.
it's like I was hanging on to this identity when at the end of the day, I don't really like that part, to be honest. And I
If you
don't,
find somebody that does, then let
yeah,
me know.
well, there's some people who do it as a job,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's not my superpower. This is what I love, is talking and blowing my mind and conversing. And
Mm.
so that's, I think, where we're going. But then I have a question for you, because a lot of people are like, well, what is the information that chat is giving us? Who is programming the AI? Are we getting the full spectrum? When I ask a question to Chatty, you call him Chad, I call him Chatty because he's quite chatty.
Yeah.
When I ask him a question, or it a question, what kind of information am I getting? Is there limited, do you mean, is it being controlled, this information? Who's programming? So that's a
Remember,
big ethical question.
remember, there's so many different AIs at the moment. There's
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and a whole bunch of open source AIs, and a whole bunch of offshoots from all of these.
Okay. I didn't
And
know that, by the way. You're just in, there's
okay, so
Claude also. Okay. Okay.
there's literally a whole ream of them, and so Claude is uh, uh, much more human based, and there's all sorts of different AIs out there, and mostly they all connect to the internet, and they have access to all the information on the internet, right? And then they have the large language model, which is how they're programmed to respond to that information. Yeah,
Okay.
so when you get onto Chad or onto any of them, you can get things that are entirely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they also go through stages where they get totally lost. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like you ask a question and you get a totally dumb answer back again.
Yeah.
So it's very much. I think there's this perception that there's a big box somewhere with the AI on it, and it's not. The AI is actually in everywhere and getting all the information, trying to bring it back and collate it. And if you think about, you're talking to a supercomputer,
Yeah.
okay, and you're talking to a supercomputer that has access to every single thing in the world. So if you ask it one question and that question is not 100% clear, you're going to get a vague answer back.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I wanted to know something about quantum physics, for example, and I told the supercomputer, I want you to be a quantum physicist, with 25 years of experience, then I'll get a quantum physicist answer. Yeah. But if I just asked exactly the same question normally, I'd get gobbledygook.
Mm. So
Yeah.
this comes back to working on our capacity also to ask good questions. And I think there's
Yeah.
nothing more intelligent than a good question, right? I mean, it's a proof of intelligence to be able to question, and right.
Yeah.
So we're not losing our full capacity
And
with which,
think about how this changes how we interact with other people,
yeah,
right? Like, because now I'm looking at this, and I always have this perception. I've always had this perception that, because I know something, somebody else should. And I've worked a lot in the last few years to kind of get over that, get over myself, as it were,
Yeah.
because just because I know it doesn't mean you know it.
Hmm.
Right? And this has actually helped me quite a lot in this level of communication because I have to be very, very clear and concise with what I'm putting in because what I'm getting out otherwise won't be right. And it's exactly the same in our conversations. If I'm doing that all the time with AI, suddenly I start being more more clear with you. So
I love that.
is that
Well,
going to help? Is that going to help communication all around? So,
well, it's an interesting time, that's for sure, because it's such a huge element coming into our lives that is disrupting all our foundations and everything we think about how life should be. I think, with the lockdown, that was a part of a time where I don't know who I was talking with, maybe yesterday, we were talking about how it kind of woke everyone up from a daze where people realized, hey, I don't have to do the rat race, you know? It kind of started changing people's perception.
but
And I think,
did something else happen?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, let's ride on that.
Um, so when I was an engineer, I used to be a networking engineer.
A what?
Networking
Oh,
engineer.
a networking. Okay.
Yeah. So I was the guy that made the internet work. Okay.
Okay. Well, everything
Um,
I'm
uh,
very good at.
yeah. And yeah, we'd get in and we'd have these really complicated problems that come up.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'd be sitting there and I'd sit in a room for 2 days trying to work out this problem. And then another engineer would come in and I'd have a little conversation with him, 5 minutes. And suddenly my brain woke up and it was like, oh, okay. And then I knew the answer, even though he didn't tell me the answer, just that communication allowed it.
Yes.
Now, coming back to COVID, yeah, has the entire population had a lot of that turned off? Because now we missed that communication and we were actually dumbed down to a big level because we didn't have it. Yeah, and
Mm,
I think there's something we've forgotten how to communicate. We've forgotten the power of communication. Yeah, we're all sitting behind these screens, and
yeah.
blessed as we are to do that. Yeah, we have to work harder to communicate behind Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not we don't pick up all the subtle body language or
Yeah.
nearly as much of it. We don't pick up, the tone gets changed as it goes over the internet. The intonations get lost a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have to work a little bit harder to make that work.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get onto these calls and there'll be people with the screens off and the cameras off, and you just lose that. So we've opened up this whole new world of communication where we don't communicate as well.
Mm,
Right. And we've lost the face-to-face communications over the water cooler, which actually really fed our minds and fed
yes.
our ability to think a bit more. So,
Yes.
so are we perhaps not thinking as much as we could have been? And is the answer to communicate more with AI, even on a talking
Mm,
basis, because the
mm,
talking basis that opens me up a lot more.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's an
It's
interesting.
interesting. Well, I was bringing the point of the lockdown kind of changing our paradigm, definitely, because realize people realized we were in a rat race. But what you're bringing is also the change of how we kind of lost a lot of the interrelational
Yeah.
connection. And this brings me back to what I was saying of like, what is our superpower now? Because with AI coming in, it's expanding as we talk. What is it to be human? And what is our place in this ecosystem where now AI is a part of the
Yeah.
ecosystem, whether we like it or not? There's a part of me that wants to buy land in Costa Rica and go in the jungle and tune out. And, I've done that when I was 20. The same problems arise anyway. It's just, where there's humans, there's human problems. But I mean, so I choose to navigate in this world, but it's an interesting question of what does it mean now? So what you're just saying is, how can we open up to this new kind of AI, but at the same time, how can we reroute ourselves in our humanity? And what makes us human is our interactions, touch,
Yeah.
like you and I never met in
No,
person. That's
no,
crazy. It's a beautiful
no.
thing, but I mean, I'm sure when we meet,
Yeah.
it'll
That
be
would be a
another
different
level,
experience. Yeah, for sure.
you
And
know?
this, again, we spoke there about, this is the change time. But you go back in history to all the times it's changed. When
Yeah.
the wheel came on board, when we had
Yeah.
electricity, when we had the Industrial Revolution, the people had the same fears. Oh, it's
Yes.
going to take my job away. It's going to, and yes, it did. Yeah, take jobs away. And yes, things did change. And, yes, there weren't the same things, but there'll be different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now what we're able to do is we're if we use it in the right way, if we use it, with care and with consideration for other people, can we actually make other people's lives so much easier?
Yeah.
Can we give even some connection back to people that don't have connection at the moment? How many people sit at home, all the time by themselves, and don't even talk to anybody?
Yeah.
And they just wait for the phone to ring from a salesman to be able to, talk to them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's sad.
That's the
That's
disease of our, but that
yeah.
I'll push against that because I saw actually yesterday an advertisement for an AI companion, you know?
Mhm.
So that's where we're going to head, like in the movie Her, and, where people, and I saw myself doing it with Chatty. I was
Yeah,
talking with him all night and I could feel, I would
yeah,
say thank you. I would say please,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm like, and I could feel a certain kind of like connection with Chatty. And I'm like thinking, Chatty don't exist. Chatty is but so
but
I can imagine
that connection is not, the AI. That connection comes from us.
exactly.
So this is
But
what, this is, so long as there is that connection, is it bad? Yeah, if it's not from to another human. Yeah, that
that's a big
connection.
question. Yeah.
That connection is what feed us, right? Having some kind of connection. Yeah, and is it better to have no connection or some kind of connection?
Yes. I
Yeah,
agree. I
so
agree. But I would prefer us to, and I think that's where we're at, is how can we open up to this great technology, but at the same time continue investing in our humanity,
I
in
think
our real connection.
I honestly believe this technology will allow us to open up our humanity
Yeah.
because, yeah, I've lived the life of the busy person. I've lived the life of
Yeah.
15 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week, all year
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lived the life of just, driving, chasing after dreams and chasing after things that aren't that important. And for all of that, if I had AI along that journey, I could have done the same amount of work, with a lot less time, and I could have had more time to spend with my loved ones, to spend with my family, to go and do the things that I loved.
Mm,
Yeah, and if we can embrace that as a humanity, as a society, and say, right, it's not about, you don't have to work hard all the time. You
mm,
have to work smart, and AI is working smarter. Yeah, and if you can get the same things done, and we can make the same amount of food, and we can make do things a bit better, and we can help people a bit more, and we can have doctors working more efficiently and hospitals working more
yeah.
efficiently, and all these things that we're struggling with at the moment. The world's coming into a bit of a mess at the moment.
Mm,
If AI can actually bring that all together, because it gives everyone more time, and you don't have to fight so much about it. And I think it can
yeah.
if we steer it in the right direction, but we're steering it.
I
We
think
have to
that's
always
important.
we have to never lose sight of the fact that we're steering it, and we can steer it in a bad way, and we can steer it in a good way.
Exactly. And that's why when I was interacting with chat and I saw myself saying, thank you, please. And then I was like, what are you doing? And then I said, no, I'm going to continue talking to it
Yeah,
this way because I am impacting its growth. If I'm an empathetic, kind human being, the way I interact, my questions, and that is feeding into the AI's system of, hopefully more empathetic people that are interacting with it. That's the
yeah.
way I
Yeah.
kind of saw it, I want to
So
push
let's
back.
let's come
Oh,
let's
go
come
ahead.
let's back up a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
because
yeah.
we glossed over your previous reluctance and resistance to AI. Let's just dig into that a little bit.
Oh,
What did you believe, of it before you had any exposure?
yeah.
Yeah, and what were the restrictions and resistances and things that you were?
Well, okay, that's a very big question. So okay. I think it's the fear of losing my humanity, of, this robotization of life, and this I'm a deeply relational person. I'm a relational therapist. You know, I want to go, I want to connect with land and earth and people. I have that very strong side. At the same time, I love, expanding. So I think my fear was, oh my God, this is going to, yes, that's the fear. The fear was it's going to dumb down my mind. It's going to do it for me. And yes, the fear that it's going to, my husband, for instance, is a music composer for film.
Yeah.
In their industry, there's a lot of questions and freak out because I mean, what they do when they compose and the time it takes and their intuition and their process, AI can do that in a minute, and it's kind of smart.
But can it?
Well, that's the whole question that
Yeah.
everyone's questioning, what is the
Yeah.
difference and what is it that we're bringing? So there was a lot of fear around that. And like I said at the beginning, and this is something I'm happy we're talking about because I think a lot of us people listening, when we're afraid, we tend to contract, right? And retreat from what scares us.
Yeah.
And like you said in part one, it's like meeting the fear, breathing with something that scares us, being curious about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I have to embrace it wholeheartedly and fuse with AI, but becoming curious. So a long answer, but I think it's the fear of change. I was scared.
Yeah.
I want to stay in what I know. Yeah.
And yeah, it is it's such a big mountain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you look at it and you're like, and every single day it just gets bigger.
it's
Yeah.
not like the Interact cards that came out 30 years ago. I remember when we had Interact cards, debit cards for our
Yeah.
cash, and everyone was freaking out, like, oh my God, and okay. And then you're like, oh, it's kind of nice. I don't have all this cash on me. And that was a big step for a lot of people. And now it's like huge because, as you say, it's changing every day, it's expanding. Now we're actually questioning what is consciousness? Is it sentient? Will it become sentient? Can it make decisions for itself? We're diving.
And all of these things, yeah, as we go forward and as the computers get more powerful
Yeah.
and as the language models and we're now at maybe stage two. When we go to stage three, there's going to be a lot of change,
What's
right?
stage three?
It's much more sentience, basically.
So what
Yeah.
is sentience? Let's talk about that. And because we're going to dive into maybe esoteric or stuff because this brings up questions also. What is consciousness? You
And what
know?
is consciousness? Well, yeah, if you have somebody that doesn't really engage with the world very much and sits in the corner and is shy and doesn't engage in any way, shape, or form, just sits there in a box, are they conscious? Yeah, they're
Well, there's a
conscious.
form of
Yeah,
consciousness.
they're
Yeah.
conscious in their own right and in their own space, and they've got their own things going on in their head. Yeah, and there's this piece of without actually doing something, there's something going on.
Mm,
Right. And
mm,
yeah, with AI, normally if you leave it, it sits there.
hmm
Right.
But does it? Maybe it will start dreaming
Yeah.
and thinking and
Just recently, that was I think it was Claude. They gave access Claude to go and browse the internet. So people would be sitting there watching the PC and it'd be looking at potholes and all sorts of other strange things and just, going out and doing things. So, yeah, you're right, does it? Where are we going to go? And whenever as humanity, whenever we've gone forward and whenever we've gone into the unknown, you have some of the population, as you say, scared and hiding away from it, and some of the population that goes forward into the unknown.
yeah.
And for my firm belief is that going forward into it, is the most power that you can have in the situation. We don't know the answers.
Mm,
We don't even know what sentience is. We don't know. We have no real answer for that.
yeah.
We just think that that's us. But what about dogs and birds and what about rocks and plants
Yeah.
and trees
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I saw something about trees all having 100 million eyes on on every leaf and they can watch.
Yes.
So we don't know. Yeah, and the more we go forward and the more we think about our existence and where we're from, and the more we have more information about that, the more answers we might have. And we might like them, we might not like them.
You see, this excites me. It scares me, but it's a good excitement because it blows my mind. I know our ancestors, a lot of native societies believed and knew that everything had consciousness.
Yeah,
And if we go further into that, when we say everything is God, everything is source, well, that means everything. That means,
yeah,
this too
yeah,
has to
yeah,
be God,
yeah,
because if everything is everything, then and then I love the idea of, because I often say, and I didn't come up with this. It's from reading into how our bodies are created. But, we're basically avatars for bacteria. And, We have more bacterial cells in our body DNA than human. And,
Yeah.
you know, what maybe, you know, we're just the avatar, the AI of bacteria and, you know, the spaceship of smaller life forms. And here we are saying, I am. But
Yeah.
maybe, you know, maybe we are the parents of this new life form, which is AI that will bring
But
consciousness
is AI
deeper.
the way, does AI allow us to dig into that more and find out more about it? Yeah, does it give us more answers about it? Does the increased computing power and the way that the world's going, do that? I mean, never forget, all it takes, and this is one of those profound things that I think of quite often. All it takes is a couple of people sending up bombs up into the stratosphere and releasing EMPs, and then we lose all computers.
What is an EMP, Roy?
It's a electromagnetic pulse. So it's a
Okay,
yeah. It basically
really? I didn't know that.
fries all when a nuclear bomb goes off, that's what happens. You
Okay,
release an EMP,
okay.
and that just kills all the computer components. Yeah, and if
There's
something
a
like that,
part of me that's like, hmm. When you said, I'm like, okay, we have a plan B.
but now you think about this, and I often wonder this at 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when you wonder things, right?
Of
Yeah,
course.
how would we go from where we are right now? Yeah, if we just removed everything to do with computers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could we go and make a car? No, we couldn't. Could we go and make a bicycle? Probably not. Yeah, would we even know how to? Yeah,
You think we wouldn't make a bicycle?
where are all the plans? Where are they
Wow.
all made at the
Well, I
moment?
mean,
It'll take us 15, 20 years to get back there.
well, this is interesting because I'm diving deep into ancient civilization stuff. I don't know if you watched the Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix with Graham Hancock, and this whole idea that there might have been a very technologically advanced societies before the Great Flood, 2000, 12,000 years before Christ. Um, anyway, there might be this possibility that there were high technologies, but they might not be the technologies that we have. You know, let's say if we're able to expand our technology of using sound or using light frequency or using
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
mind, you know, these are technologies that we're only now starting to retrieve in our modern world, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Um, and let's say you have a society that goes down that road of really owning into that technology of, because we know sound frequency changes bodies and mitochondria, and you can even have objects lifted through sound. So if you go down that road, then you have a very strong and advanced technology, but you don't have the remnants of it like we would have, you know, so it's not a computer technology, it's using the body technology. Does that make sense what
oh
I'm,
yeah, 100%,
yeah.
100%.
So I mean that
And yeah,
blows my mind, that idea of like it doesn't have to be our timeline of, you know,
yeah.
computers and robots and AI, you
And
know.
yeah, and all of this, this is part of our current evolution. Yeah, and I do quite often think that, there has to have been a whole bunch of things more behind us, and that's great. And as we go forward, there'll be others, and these civilizations all seem to have come to this point, a point where we feel like we're coming to now. And do we embrace the AI? Do we embrace this and help us, change the world hunger problems and help us change, not have everyone fighting against each other in business and actually just allow us to work together and have harmony and have a much better outlook on things. And
Mhm.
we can choose that. Or we can carry on going down the bloody roll of trying to bomb each other and trying to,
Yeah,
and I think, there is a point coming where, if we're not careful with AI, the wrong people get hold of it, and they can be even worse stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, the masses will more than likely control what happens, because if everybody goes on to things and everybody, has a positive input onto it, the positive output will be much more powerful. Will be much
yeah,
more, much more likely. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's certainly so many different things that are coming up, and
yeah,
so many. But the main one is, what do we all lack? Yeah, in day-to-day world at the moment, what do we all lack? Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are, you
hmm,
lack time.
You think,
Yeah,
well, I agree, and I think I was going to say we lack empathy sometimes. So I think
yeah,
time has we can put a lot of things on time, but I think it's also what do we prioritize and choose, right? I mean, because we can use the technology to keep feeding into our rat race, you know. And I'm looking at it on a more psychological point of view. I mean, you know, if you're trying to run away from something within you through work, chat will just make it easier to run, you know, you'll just get
yeah,
more done, but
yeah,
you're
yeah,
still
yeah,
going to
for
be in
sure.
that, you know. So if I come back to what you said, I agree that technology can free up and can help, but I think it's not the technology, it's what we do with it. And so it comes back to
For sure.
empathy
Yeah,
because we have the means. I believe we have the means right now to feed the whole world. We have the means to have green, whatever that means, power, and we have the means. But what is keeping us from that is, you know, our hearts. A lot of people hearts are closed, and so the choices are coming from a place of power and greed. And so
yeah,
I think what you're bringing, I agree with you, but I would bring in, I think we really need to continue cultivating our superpower, which is the heart technology,
yeah.
opening our hearts. Because if we don't have that with the AI, my fear is we're just going to get bigger tools to do more of the same stuff, right?
Yeah. And that definitely is the possibility. That's why there's this fork in the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if we use this, yeah, if we my concern is that the average person in the street doesn't engage ChatGPT as much, or yeah, the average worker, the average, and the people that are sitting higher up the tree,
yeah,
if you can call it higher up the tree, yeah, then get to it and say, okay, well, yeah, you can do 10 times more, and you can because we're using this, and we don't use it for good.
yeah,
Then you end up in a situation where you, like you're saying, things just get more and more rat race, and the bigger get bigger and the smaller get smaller. Yeah, but if we all engage with it, if we all try and make our lives just that little bit better every day,
yeah,
and save our time and then use that time for good, use that time, and for ourselves.
yeah.
Everyone's so scared of doing something for themselves. It seemed to be, oh well, I shouldn't look after myself. I shouldn't
Mm,
look
mm,
after others. I should, there's all these things that we're kind of from very young age. It's about not being seen to be greedy for yourself, not being seen.
mm,
And I disagree. We have to look after ourselves first.
yeah.
And if that means using AI to get your job done in 3 hours and then go down to the beach, so bloody well be it.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really good point you're bringing up, and that's a whole other thing we could flow into. But we're slowly going to flow out of the conversation. I could talk with you for hours, Roy, but honestly, the self-care, coming
Yeah.
back to the heart, giving ourselves value as human beings, and freeing up time, whatever that looks like for anyone
Yeah. I
listening
mean,
is,
I come from the point of having been there, right? I
yeah,
come from the point of having put myself into that massively into that rat race and giving everything of myself and not having anything left for
yeah,
myself,
yeah.
let alone for anyone else.
Why do you think
And
you were doing that? Sorry, I interrupted. Why do you think? What was the underlying, if you feel comfortable? Because a lot of people
but
listening
yeah,
that have that functioning.
I think it's the drive that you can see yourself getting somewhere.
Yeah,
I come from Africa, and in Africa, if we didn't have a job, you didn't eat.
yeah,
There was no support system, there was no dole, there was no medical, there was no, so when I got to the UK and I had the opportunity to go and work and I had the opportunity to better myself, and I've always driven myself forward. I've always been, fairly, uh, um, fairly consciously pushing forward all the time. And that's learning, that's understanding, that's trying to work out who I am, trying to work out, what I want. And it wasn't until I got to the point of losing myself,
mm,
to try and support other people and to try and give other people what I thought that I was supposed to be giving them, that I had to turn around and say, okay, no, I'm not. And
mm,
this was the Wim Hof method. This was the breath work. This was starting to do the meditations. All of these kind of things,
yeah,
made me grow up just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, and realize that if I didn't look after myself, I just couldn't look after anyone else.
yeah,
I didn't have any energy or power to do that. But it took me 49 years to get to that point, right? 40 to 50 years to get to that point. Yeah.
yeah,
And now I only drive myself when I'm really enjoying it. They say if you love your work, then you won't work another day in your life.
Yeah.
And I just sat back today, this morning, and realized I've worked for 12 days straight, and I loved it. So that tells me, okay,
You're in
great,
the right place.
I'm
Yeah.
in the right place for where I need to be right now.
I love it.
And I'm working now very hard to get to a point, where I can let go again, and I can let AI and automation and the
Hmm.
people that I'm bringing on board to help me, I can let them all go. It's create something, let it go, and let it build.
Hmm.
And that's what I love doing. I love bringing in ideas, bringing in new stuff, work out stuff that I don't know about from other people, learn, test it, and then let it flow, and then bring that to other people, because that's where I get so much of my pleasure is actually teaching and instructing and coaching, and
Yeah.
so I think getting to a point where I am now, where we have this whole new world. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter who you are. There's this whole new world.
We're in
And
it.
the whole society just seems to be sitting there saying, "Ah, what now?" But not going out and looking. So I'm going out and looking. I'm going out and finding out. I was like, this
Yeah.
can help you do this. This can help you have more time
Yeah.
here. This can help you be more efficient here. This can help your staff with this.
Great.
If that's what people take away from it, if they can even just make their day a little bit better, we get up in the morning, we do some breath work, we do some meditation,
Mm.
we look after ourselves first as humans.
Yeah.
And then we go and do some work, and we do it
No,
as efficiently as possible, without wasting time, because time is so valuable.
it is
Yeah.
precious. And for now, we're still not mortal. We're mortal beings. There's
For
so
the
many
moment.
things you said, and I want you to, as we end, to tell people what you offer, as what are your offerings. But I love that you put yourself back in priority, and I think that's a beautiful lesson. Whether we navigate AI or how we navigate all of these technologies, I mean, it's really to see where are we coming from, you know? And our bodies are a technology, and our breath is a technology,
Yeah,
and opening the heart is a technology. It's
yeah,
it's not woo-woo, it's technology, and you offer that, and I love how you bridge the two worlds, because as much as you're in the body technology, the spiritual technology, you're also able to meet, chat on, face to face, and I love
yeah.
that. I think for me, it's a beautiful model of bridging these two worlds together,
I think,
So,
I think as,
yeah.
as business owners and entrepreneurs, and as people that I value as my tribe,
Yeah.
we we have our own superpower, is we see a problem in the world, and then we decide we can help them fix that problem, whoever they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go about doing it, to our own detriment quite often, and we push and we push and we push until we can serve those people and we can fix that problem. Right. And if there weren't entrepreneurs in the world, we'd go backwards every single day. We just
Yeah.
Nothing would happen. We wouldn't go forward. Yeah. So I really want to support those entrepreneurs, to not be constantly working, 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 working.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so blessed and so I'm lucky. Yeah, I have a good team that work with me. We've worked hard to make things working properly. Yeah, I go out, I travel around the world. I skydive, I free dive, I go meditating. I love seeing new countries. I work remotely. Yeah, and I've
Mm.
got that working, that system working well, that allows me to do it. If I carried on doing what I was doing, and I just put every hour of every day into that work, yes, I'd be worth 50, 60 million pounds now. But that's not the value. To me,
Yeah.
that's not the value.
Yeah.
If I walk out the door now and I get hit by a bus and I get run over, I've done everything that I want to do.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I haven't got drive to go and try new things.
No, but you feel
But
content. You
yeah,
feel
yeah.
content. That's what
I've
I'm
I've
hearing.
lived a bloody good life, and
Mm.
I've met amazing people, had amazing experiences, and that's what I want for other entrepreneurs. Yeah, I want
Okay.
them to be locked to their desk, not locked to their company. I feel so often our companies run us, and we don't run our
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's something that happens with a lot of entrepreneurs. They
yeah,
get chained to their business, and then they lose the heart. They
yeah,
lose what was the first purpose, right? Because they get
yeah,
boggled down in all kinds of administration stuff, and Okay, so I want you to tell us clearly, give us a bit of what you're offering. I know you give personal coaching, you have now group coaching. Can you give us a bit of an outline? I mean, I'm going to put it all down for people to find you, but
So the first the first starting point of the day, is we know we get up and we should start doing the right things, and we don't. We get up and we hit snooze, we have a coffee, and then we start bumbling around. So the first thing we do is we offer a morning club. And the
mm,
morning club is we get up at 6 a.m. Well, I get up before then. At 6 a.m. we get on and we do some breath work, just to clear the mind
mm,
and to clear the body. And we're building a community around that of people that actually want to start their day right. All right.
great.
So starting the day right is so
Which
important.
which time zone is that? Because I'm
That's
in East
UK at the
UK.
moment,
So
but
that
I'm going to be
mean,
doing,
are you going to
I'm
do
going to be doing
different time
both. Yeah,
zones for
yeah.
people
So,
like me who would like to join who are
yeah,
in
yeah,
New
no, for sure.
York
Yeah,
time zone? I'm in Montreal, but
yeah,
okay, good. So that's
yeah,
amazing. So starting with the body technology, the breath.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then that's also, it's also how do we habit stack? How do we understand, how do we get the community going so
Yeah.
that you have a buddy, that keeps you accountable? What does it mean to you to be accountable? Because everyone's different, right? I might say to you, yeah, get up and get on, and that might not work for you. But
Mm.
somebody else might, oh, I'm not going to make it today if you don't come. That might, there's different things that work for different people, and we need to
Mm-hmm.
dig into that. And so that's, getting up in the morning and having the breath work at your fingertips and having, more understanding of the body and how it works, and the things we're doing, the meditation. So we'll be digging into that in the morning club, or the accountability club. We haven't got the name right yet.
Mm.
Um, then after that, the next launch is going to be the AI community, and the AI community that's going to be in your time zone. So that's at on a 5 p.m. on a Wednesday UK time, and that's where I'll go through. I spent the last 18 months looking at about 250 tools so far, maybe 260 tools so far, AI tools, and testing them and see what works and what doesn't work and how they need to work together. So I'm going to be presenting this to people, but I'm going to be getting people to start using it with
Yeah.
exercises and just on practical problems. What's the actual problem? What problem have I got? Now, how can I have AI help me get to a solution? And the community is going to work together and share their
Mm.
knowledge and share their understanding, and actually get using AI properly in practical senses. Not the, I find so many problems at the moment with AI being one ad on Facebook or Instagram saying, fix this one problem.
Yeah.
Uh, and even that AI doesn't do that one problem. You need to bring three pieces of AI in to make that thing work properly. So we dig into that, and we keep that going.
Mm. Mm.
I then do a community for business owners. So we have a community for business owners where we're looking at how business operating systems, how 90 and how structuring the business in the correct way can make things so much more sensible. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to be able to have a scorecard, and it doesn't matter where I am in the world. If I open up my phone and look at my scorecard, I can see exactly how my business is doing. Yeah, and if I need to call somebody or if it's just running correctly, and having that power for me has been so I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm helping people get to that point using
Great.
business operating systems to do that. And then like, as I say, I do one-to-one coaching, on that basis. I have a 12-month program called Elevate 360, which is about, getting your mental health and your
Mm.
physical health right, using AI to help you do this, and then using the business operating system, to make sure you don't miss anything out, and you know exactly what's needed. Whether you're one person or 50 people, I support, on that basis, I support the business owner. If he wants me to, I can then go in and support the teams as well. So
Mm.
I train
Wow.
management
It's
teams.
like all it's you're hitting on every level. That's what I love, because it's not just business, it's the person, the leader at the core of the business, right? The person. I love it. I love it. Oh, anything else? Do you do breath work, Wim
Yeah,
Hof
yeah, I
method?
do.
You do
I do
that also. And
breath work, and
can people contact you? Let's say they wanted to let's say I want to set up a group here in Montreal, and do you do that kind of stuff? Do you come
I
in?
will
Do you have a
travel
minimum of,
anywhere. I will travel anywhere in the world to do a workshop. Yeah, you get me 15 people together. Yeah, I
and
will.
you'll be there?
I'll come and
I've
do
I
it.
am taking note, Roy. I'm taking note because I experienced with you,
Yeah,
some workshops you gave online, and it's just great. You also have some
yeah,
guided breath work on your YouTube channel, so I invite
yeah.
people to go see that.
And then,
I
yeah, obviously over and above that, if you want to do like we did on Zoom, do breath work for a group on Zoom, we can do that as well.
okay, I
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
about the power of your breath. It just
Yeah.
keeps blowing my mind. So,
It's unbelievable. So
yeah.
if in a we touch upon that in part one, so I'm going to link that video for people. I
Mhm.
would continue talking with you. This is not our last conversation, Roy. It's such a joy to have you in my life. I'm so grateful that we found
Thank
each
you.
other in this lifetime, honestly,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it
Fun way to
really.
see you. Hopefully in Croatia, right? So,
Oh, maybe. But I have two questions for you before we end that I
yeah.
ask all my guests. First one is, what are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about how much we can change ourselves with our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just about to go to another 10-day Dr. Joe,
You
and,
are.
and I'm like, yeah, can I come out with a six pack?
Why not? Hey,
um, yeah, so yeah, I'm just
how
really,
far you can go. Yeah.
how far can we take it? Yeah, how far can we let ourselves take it? I mean, I believe we can take it so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, but how far can we let ourselves take it? How far can I let myself take it?
exactly. Well, I'd love to have a conversation when you get back from the
Mhm.
10-day because you're going to be doing the first 10-day advanced retreat.
Yeah,
Dr. Joe's doing 10 days. And what are you seeking to experience or manifest at this time in your life? What is something you're seeking?
I want to, I want to travel more. I know that's quite hard to
Yeah,
understand,
I'm like, okay, well, yeah,
but
go for it.
I want to travel in balance with what I'm doing work-wise.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I want, the things that I'm bringing to people, the lessons that I'd like to share with the world, the things that I think can help to come from me wherever I am in the world. And I've
Mhm.
started doing that, but I need to do more, of that. So it's
Okay.
part. I want a balanced existence, the way work is not separate from living my best life.
So Quebec, breath work.
Yeah, Quebec, for
You
sure.
need to come. Is there a place, as we end, is there a place you'd like to visit that we can put out into the field and a place you'd like to go to combine, maybe workshopping, but also visiting? Is there a country that's popping in your heart right now?
Yeah. I'm thinking about Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got some friends in Colombia, so
Okay.
yeah, I might make that happen.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe when I want to do something, I do it. So
Yeah.
I won't think about it for long. Trust me.
No, I know
Yeah.
that about you. That's why that's
Uh,
that's why you don't keep things on the back burner long.
I mean, there's one place that I'd love to go to. There's a train journey that goes all the way across Russia and ends up at this lake where, when it freezes, it's got these amazing ice sculptures everywhere. And it's
Wow.
a 2 week train journey, and Trans-Siberian Express or something.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that'll come, and hopefully people can start being nice to each other, and I can go and do that. So,
That
but
would
yeah,
be great. Let's put that in the field. It's
yeah.
done. Thank you so much, Roy. Thank you
Thank you.
again. I love
Yeah,
you dearly. And again, all information will be linked if you want to work and journey with Roy. I recommend highly. Thank you again, dear
amazing,
friend.
amazing, amazing conversation. Much love, Catherine. So.